Facebook site that we go live at, and it's out there broadcasting, doing our thing. We're going to talk about a couple of topics today that are in the news and need some clarification. I think one of the things that's being kind of shortchanged in the media right now is this Harvard law professor and his wife being terminated basically because these students say they feel unsafe. They feel unsafe around this black man who in the past has freed convicted felons, who's in the past has freed folks that have gotten a bad deal, had bad representation and gone to prison unjustly. And I have to give Mr. Sullivan credit, much to you know how I am. Well, you maybe you don't, but I don't support. I think that these criminals should be given a decent representation, and then whatever comes, especially people who are killers, mass murders, and whatnot. So when we fast forward to Harvard and what Harvard's doing, Harvard is what is Harvard doing? Harvard doesn't know what it's doing. Okay. These people have resorted to McCarthyism and McCarthyism on the highest levels. And what do I mean by that? Well, Professor Sullivan was terminated from his job because, if you haven't heard, the resident students were scared of him. They felt they weren't safe around him. What kind of madness is this? We need to rein these young people in. I am tired of, and see, this comes from all of this liberal parenting. You parents out there who refuse to spank your children, you parents out there who allowed your children to parent you instead of the other way around. And you thought it was cute. Oh, they just tell me what to do. They tell me what to say. They keep me, they tell me what to think. These parents, you parents out there, especially you parents of the last 40 years, capitulated your parenting responsibilities to pop culture, to the flavor of the day, instead of traditional values and morals. Even when it came to education, you let your children take the easy way out. Well, we don't want too much homework for our children. You complain to their teachers about homework. Well, they don't have enough time to play video games when they get home because they have so much homework. Now, you know those stories, and you know I'm not exaggerating. You know I'm not exaggerating. So here at Harvard, by the time they get to Harvard, this esteemed bastion of intellect, this esteemed bastion of forethought, this esteemed bastion of intellectual experimentation, and they're afraid because their resident professor is on the Harvey Weinstein defense team. So somehow that makes him a dangerous man. Do you believe that? If you do, I got a little investment. I want you to go out and drain that 401k and place it in. Okay. So defense attorneys that they often talk about, and this is something that we learn. Well, I don't know if we learned it in. I don't think I really knew about it in elementary school or high school, but I certainly knew about it in college, where John Adams defended. He's the second president of the United States. John Adams actually defended the British troops in the Boston Massacre. Yeah, he did. For those of you who didn't know this, John Adams, second president of the United States of America, defended Captain Preston, I think his name is Preston, and his cohort of, yeah, Preston and his cohort of infantrymen. And it was really interesting because The man who actually did the shooting was a man named Montgomery. And he said, "Fire, damn it, fire." I mean, they had numerous witnesses talking about this Montgomery character. I've read the story a number of times, know a little bit about the trial, the Boston Massacre trial. And John Adams called what these students are doing clamor of popular suspicions and prejudices when representing reviled clients. So last week, an old name out of the past, Cliff Darden, the guy who prosecuted O.J. Simpson along with Monica Clark. Um, he stopped representing a California man who was charged with killing the rapper Nipsey Hussle because people were so upset with his choice of client, they demanded to know his fee and threatened the safety of his children. See, that's what liberals do. Now, if conservatives had threatened this man or his children, it would have been all over the news. You barely heard about it. Because why? Because liberals were doing it. It's just like Charlottesville. You have to charge the liberals or the protesters or whatever they want to call themselves. They were wrong in attacking the marchers or the white nationalists or the Robert E. Lee monument supporters. They were wrong in charging those people and beating those people. So the it's really interesting. I think it's really interesting that when so Professor Sullivan joined Weinstein's defense team, and these students went absolutely ballistic. Now, if he had been on the prosecuting team, they would have built a statue to the guy. Right there on in the these are residence halls, and Mr. Sullivan and his wife were the first. Believe it or not, here we are, 2012, 2019. They were the first black uh, 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 professor, resident scholars, or deans of these residents. Here we are, 2019. Okay, and this is this liberal bastion, this bastion of liberalism. I tell you, liberals are racist. They've always been racist, far more racist than conservatives, far more racist than Republicans, certainly. But you would never know that because people are miseducated. And why am I saying this? Because it's true. I wouldn't lie to you. Would I lie to you? Anyway, so again, example Chris Darden, they threatened Chris, they threatened his safety of his children, they questioned his fees. Professor Sullivan defending Harvey Weinstein, they get him fired. Now, I was reading an article out of the Atlantic, which was really interesting. It took a slightly different tact. And we're going to hear from Alan Derkowitz a little later in the show about this incident because he's upset too. But alumni, past faculty, current students are upset with the fact that a few people got this man and his wife fired from being resident deans. Okay. This particular author, his name is Count Fedelsdorf. It's true, that's his name. Federdorf, Friederdorf. Uh, he says that educational institutions ought to teach young adults this justice enhancing logic. Harvard is now teaching its undergraduates to undermine it, to undermine fairness, to undermine the precept that everyone is entitled to a fair trial. But these liberals don't care. It's just like Donald Trump being elected president. They don't care that there was a legitimate election conducted. Donald Trump won the election legitimately, trounced Hillary Clinton, and they won't let it go because it did not fit their narrative. It did not fit their supposed reality. It did not fit their dreams. So they try to do everything to create a narrative and a reality that doesn't exist. I'm serious. So, what this particular author says is that it's shameful. The capitulation to popular passions is what he calls them, popular passions. to have this uh, man fired, Ronald Sullivan and his wife, Stephanie. It's horrible. Horrible. Oh, man. So while Professor Sullivan was, there as dean and resident dean, he was verbally abused. See, that's because we don't punch people in the mouth anymore for what they say. We want to be civil. So you give people who shouldn't really talk to you or challenge you for a number of reasons, we give them the ability that they think to say what they want to say and do what they want to do. So I always have this popular saying, and it's very simple. It's don't let your mouth write a check your behind can't cash. And what do I mean by that? You guys out there know exactly what that means. Oh, man. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up, people. I always tell you, history is far more interesting and far more rewarding than fiction, than someone making something up in their dark minds. So Sullivan was verbally abused while he was at the residence. His family's lives were the resident where his family lives was vandalized with graffiti. Um, a survivor of sexual assault, whom Sullivan helped in the past, spoke out to the Boston Globe in his defense. Didn't matter all of these good deeds he'd done. It didn't matter all the people he had freed from prison who were unjustly in prison, who were innocent and in prison. It did not matter because he was on Harvey Weinstein's defense team, trying to provide Harvey Weinstein with a adequate defense. So many of his colleagues at Harvard Law School, uh, when contacted, supported uh, Mr. Sullivan, the dean, supported him. Now, Mr. Weinstein has a colleague. Her name is Jean Salk, Jerns. Uh, she was especially reticent when writing in the New Yorker about the controversy. And this is what she had to say. On the same day as the vandalism, Harvard announced that in response to the concerns about the impact of this decision on the support that students can expect to receive in the Rentham community, the college would undertake a climate review consisting of surveys and interviews of students, after which it would take actions as appropriate. The students were sent a questionnaire asking about whether they found Winthrop House sexist or non sexist and hostile or friendly, among other things. Presumably, if Harvard learns that the climate requires it, Sullivan could be fired as dean. That's what happened on the Saturday that his uh, residence was vandalized. And they also announced that they would not continue as faculty deans. I'm not kidding, man. This is serious. These people are out to take your jobs. They're out to put you out of business. That's what they do. They play hardball. We're gonna play a little hardball. We're gonna take off and listen to these commercials. We'll be right back. Been negligent in playing them, but we'll be right back. I promise. And we'll pick up talking about this professor getting railroaded, getting McCarthyed by liberals at Harvard University, the bastion of liberalism, equality, and justice. How is this case for liberty, equality, and justice? Not too good, is it? I don't think so. So we'll be back and talk about it. In fact, I'm going to open up the lines and you can call in and comment, okay?
Hey, this is Leonora Kubota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. My Pillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. My Pillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code Red State. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code Red State. Put sleepless nights behind you with My Pillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Kim Moline, co-owner of the Wingstop restaurants in Lansing and South Holland.
Hey, Tom, I've got to be honest. Although I was unhappy with our old payroll company, I was pretty apprehensive about transitioning into a new one. When it comes to payroll, delays and lost data are really unacceptable. But I'm happy to say your staff really made it easy for us, and the transition couldn't have been smoother. And now, as we consider taking advantage of some of the other services you offer, well, let's just say that next time we won't be so chicken.
Thanks, Kim. Just call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or check us out at the web at precisionpayroll.com. That's precisionpayroll.com.
Okay, we're back and we're going to pick up where we left off, talking about this professor being fired, being removed as a resident professor, resident dean or dean of a resident, because the students said they felt unsafe around him. Now, I want to just give you a little backdrop. When John Adams defended the soldiers that killed the colonists in the Boston Massacre, he was very clear that he was very apprehensive and did not want to do that. But under the law, it was his obligation. And this is how he started. This is in his diary. He said, I devoted myself to endless labor and anxiety, if not to infamy and death, and for nothing except what indeed was and ought to be all in all a sense of duty, a sense of duty to fairness. It's John Adams, second president of the United States of America. He goes on to say, in the evening, I expressed to Mrs. Adams all of my apprehensions. That excellent lady, who's always encouraged me, burst into a flood of tears, but said she was very sensible of all of the danger to her and to our children, as well as to me. But she thought I had done as I ought. She was very willing to share in all of that was to come and place her trust in Providence. I mean, this stuff is great, isn't it? This stuff is wonderful. You cannot get this any. This is the American history. This is Americana. This is who we are. But these children today, these kids today say, well, the hell with that. We want AOC. AOC knows that, there's climate change and we need free college. And oh yeah, by the way, we shouldn't be giving millionaires $3 billion. Anyone knows that. Oh man. I know. She's not the brightest bulb in the closet, but damn is she cute. Okay. But John, and there's more here, but I'm not going to go into it. But he defended Captain Prescott and the other soldiers. The man who did the shooting was a man named Montgomery, and they were all vindicated. He got them off. So that's the other part of the story that, if you didn't know, I'll just share with you. So the soldiers were vindicated and justified in shooting, even though eyewitnesses declared that this Montgomery guy was the soldier that got knocked down to the ground, And when he got up, he said, "Fire, damn it, fire!" And several soldiers fired, and they even fired at colonists who were running away. They were shot in the back. The man who died, the first man to be shot and was shot by Montgomery, was a black man. His name is Crispus Attucks. Why isn't that taught to us in school? That the first person to die for America's freedom was a freed slave, a man named Crispus Attucks. Hey, I'm just telling you like it is. I'm getting ready to open up these lines. So stand
Welcome
by.
back, host. Have a great show.
Yeah, we're open 215. Let's see, what is it? 215 867 8255 215 867 8255. Now, the professor, the president of the university who led this craziness is a guy named Rakesh Khurana, born in where? Born in India. See, we have all these Indians in our country who are influencing policy and claiming to be Americans because we have bastardized our nationalism. Sorry. So if that sounds racist, then I don't care. Call me a racist. It's just true. They bring that whole Indian, British craziness to, and just let me just show you how crazy these Indians are. Because see, their country is all messed up, totally messed up. In fact, when you talk to Indians who are here, when they go back home, they say, bring back the British so we can have some infrastructure, so we can have trains run on time and planes run on time and have a government that's functioning. These people are totally asshole backwards, as is, as are, I should say, people in Africa and people in Asia. So this guy, he was born in India, he was raised in Queens, but he's basically an Indian because they, stick to their culture. White folks don't get that, but you should. Okay, you can, you know, let people call you a racist, whatever. I'm just telling the truth. They can call me whatever. I don't care what people call me. If I'm not telling the truth, then call me out on it. But you can't call me out on it because I'm telling the truth. Indians don't ascribe to being pro-American. The only one who kind of halfway gets it is Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza. He really gets what America is, and he tries to be American. But the rest of these Indians, hey, they're doing their Indian thing, okay? But they have some good-looking women. Damn. Anyway, they have a lot of babies too, so it must be some interesting sex going on there. But anyway, I'm not getting into all that today. Uh, so this guy, Rakesh, he becomes dean of Harvard College in 2014. And he announces in 2016 that there are going to be severe restrictions on undergraduates who belong to fraternities or gender exclusive organizations not formally affiliated with the college, some of which are known as final clubs. And some of these clubs have been in existence for over 200 years. And they never had women because women weren't allowed into Harvard as undergraduates until 77. So uh, Kurana had worked with Harvard's president at the time to develop a new policy. See, they always want to do something new. See, something untried, something that's basically stupid and crazy, in my opinion. So, fast forward. The restrictions on these students belonging to these clubs include ineligibility for leadership positions in student organizations affiliated with Harvard. See, bringing that Indian tribalism to Harvard, and they accepted it, such as sports teams and ineligibility for required Harvard endorsements for fellowship, such as Rhodes and Marshall fellowships. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just because they don't admit women, they don't admit transgenders, they don't admit gays. I mean, who cares? They can form their own damn clubs. See, that's the loon of the liberals. They're loony, and they want you to engage in their lunacy. But you have to be strong, folks. You have to hold tight because they will make you think you're crazy for not going along with them. Now, by mid August of last year, Dean Karan's blacklisting of unrecognized social institutions rather than ameliorating the exclusion of women. That's correcting this wrong of the exclusion of women. His policy had, in fact, eliminated 4 out of 4 sororities and 3 out of 5 traditional female clubs available to Harvard women. All because of these untried, untested, liberal, stupid policies that these people are bringing to America, trying to change America so it'll be more like their country. Take your ass back to your country. I don't want you here. And see, and you people out there who buy into this madness that somehow you have to be liberal or you have to accept these. You don't. No, you don't. Really, you don't. I'm not. I can tell you that. But I hope to. Well, but the nexus of the story is Professor Sullivan resigned from the Weinstein defense team, and not because of the pressure from the students or the colleges, but because the trial was moved from late summer or early summer to September, and he had obligations to teach at Harvard Law School. So that's why he resigned from the defense team of Weinstein. Interesting. I love it. We're gonna talk about the Alabama pro-life uh, abortion bill. It's probably the most restrictive uh, bill, abortion bill in the country. I didn't say that. That's what people are saying. I wouldn't know. I'm not an attorney, but it's getting ready to get deep, and we need to be well advised as to what's going on out there. But we're going to have a gentleman on who uh, they used to go around in a van doing sonograms uh, outside of abortion clinics. Now that's deep. It's real deep. In fact, that's so deep I don't even want to swim in that. But I'm on the road. Don't have a bio with me. Okay. Uh, what the heck here? What is going on? Okay. All righty. Okay. So Matt will have to call in and do his thing. Let's see here. Okay. We'll see what happens. Yep. Okay. So uh, we're expecting Matt to call in and join us here. We'll see. I know he's on the road. I just got an email from him, so we'll see what's going on. It's always something in this business. It's here, there. You have to be flexible. You have to be nimble. You kind of like General Motors, man. You gotta get it done. So here we go. There we go. Okay. Now Alabama just passed a very restrictive, very restrictive abortion bill. And the bill is so restrictive that it made no exception for rape and incest. Hello, no exception for rape or incest. Hmm. So, there's a doctor who was on television today. Her name is Nishawat, and she had a couple of interesting points to make about this Alabama bill. So let's listen to her take on it as a doctor. Okay, here we go. I we have to hear it from the horse's mouth. That's what I say. because it's best to get their
As a
opinion.
doctor, I'm concerned for safety. I'm concerned, are we going to see an uprise in back alley abortions? Am I going to see young teenagers trying to involuntarily hurt themselves by trying to self abort, their fetuses out of fear and not knowing what to do and not having alternatives?
There is no penalty for the woman if she were to receive an illegal abortion from a doctor. The doctor would, under this law, be sent to jail for for up to 99 years or life in prison. I want to be clear on that. Obviously, this is going to ignite a debate over Roe versus Wade.
Wow. Wow. Ignite over Roe versus Wade. How about that? Look, she also goes on to say this is about who controls a woman's body. You know, when these legislators make these rules, they infringe on some very fragile ground. Who controls and makes decisions about the bodies? I have my own opinion, but I want you to listen to Dr. Um, Nashawat's take on this.
Absolutely. I think it will go to the Supreme Court. The fetus, it's being looked at from both sides. Mom has rights, and the fetus has. Does the fetus have right? Is the fetus a human? If so, humans have rights. So we're having fights on both sides. One, to support the rights of the fetus, but also, do lawmakers have the authority to govern and make policy on a woman's body, or should the woman have her own right to make decisions on her own health, on her own body? So we have to look at it on both sides, but we have to also take into consideration, new studies and new data suggest babies feel pain. And so that's something to keep in mind. And we can, we just saw the fetal heartbeat bill passed as well. But many women become pregnant and don't know that they're pregnant up until, sometimes the end of their first trimester.
Wow, that's deep. So these lawmakers lit a in Alabama lit a national firestorm this week by approving a near total ban on abortion and imposing harsh penalties
Hey,
on
this is Leonora
doctors.
Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have
Okay.
trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching.
Sorry, Leonora. We're gonna cut you short, girl. but yeah, so they impose these high penalties on doctors who perform abortions. So where do women go in um, where's this place? Alabama to get abortions. Where do they go? I mean, what's the alternative? Where do they go? What do they see? It's amazing. It's amazing. And you can't really blame anyone. People are trying to find a solution to abortions. You hear on Black Talk, it's about they say it's about racism, and I'm going, what about racism? Is this abortion issue? I don't get the race aspect of it. Well, I'm still trying to work through that. I'm still trying to work that out. Still trying to work that out. But amazing, amazing. So this is definitely going to the Supreme Court. This bill is the most restrictive abortion bill to emerge at the state level in recent months. It said it was specifically meant to ignite a legal battle that could end up before the Supreme Court. Well, we know that's where it's going, where a solid conservative majority has emerged during the Trump administration. However, there is a fly in the ointment in that uh, conservative bloc, and that's Kavanaugh, and it may be Gorsuch. They may say a woman has the right to choose what she wants to do with her body, and I think she should. And I don't think doctors should be given sentences of 99 years in prison if they choose to perform an abortion. Now, the bill itself, they say, would appear to shatter one of the few areas of consensus in the abortion debate, allowing exceptions in the anti abortion laws for rape and incest. The Alabama legislature does not allow exceptions for rape and incest. Like it doesn't exist. There's more rape and incest in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida than any of the other states combined. Now, why is that? Because of the Southern culture. Nobody wants to talk about that. And I'm sorry, you folks in the South, if I'm insulting you, you feel I'm insulting you, but it was part of that whole Southern thing. I mean, the statistics just bear that out. If you go to uh, the Bureau of Statistics, U.S. Bureau of Statistics, it will bear that out. Very high incidence of rape and incest in those southern states because they were certainly raping black women down there before we had laws to enforce equal protection. Now, the ACLU and Planned Parenthood is here, by the way, in Chicago, intends to file a lawsuit challenging it, of course, should the governor, Kay Levy, sign it into law. Wow. In the meantime, though, this bill will not take effect anytime in the near future, and abortion will remain a safe legal medical procedure at all clinics in Alabama. The bill itself states that it would not go into effect until 6 months after it was signed into law. The bill also allows for abortion where the mother faces a serious health risk or when the unborn child has a lethal anomaly that would cause it to be stillborn or to die soon after birth. Well, thank you, Alabama legislatures. Since none of you are doctors, you at least had the common sense to integrate that clause in your abortion law, one that's been held for a very long time. They say this is a war on women, and it's time to fight like hell, says Christian Gillibrand, who's running for president out of New York. She's a senator, U.S. senator from New York. They say that other states have taken strong stances against abortion. A week before the Alabama bill was passed, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed a bill into law that outlaws abortion once a fetal heartbeat is detected in the womb. This can actually happen as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy. And they say that law will take effect in 2020, and Georgia allows abortion until 20 weeks. Wow. I think the gestation period is something like 42 weeks. Is it? Let's see, what is it? 40 weeks? 30, 36 weeks? I know it's 9 months. So, yeah, 36 weeks. Yeah. Anyway, they go on to say this is one example of more than a dozen such heartbeat bills that have been in the works across the country, and four of them have already passed in 2019. Pro choice organizations, of course, are preparing to challenge these laws with concerns about how the current makeup of the Supreme Court might impact protection of abortion going forward. Well, we'll know because, and we won't know because Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh have been very interesting surprises in Kavanaugh siding with the liberals and Gorsuch siding with liberals from time to time in their short period on the court or on the bench. They went on to say that Kavanaugh was grilled on his stance on abortion, but showed deference to Roe versus Wade and later the decision in Planned Parenthood versus Casey as significant precedent. Wow. The president of the Pro Choice America remained concerned about the court's ability to overturn Roe versus Wade. When women stood up in record numbers to fight Kavanaugh's nomination, propelled by his alarming record. This is another lie here. And Trump's promise to nominate jurors committed to criminalizing abortion and punishing women. We were told we were hysterical because Roe was settled law. Not 6 months later are we battling measures where the state goal is exactly that, outlawing abortion. Wow. Well, it's going to be interesting. And, I look at this law in Alabama, and the question for me becomes, who's in control of that process? I don't think that, there are accidents, and certainly people get pregnant that are not intending to get pregnant. But I think we have so many preventive instruments, tools today, whether it's, the strip they put in your arm for 10 years or, the regular pill or the morning after pill, or, you have access to all kinds of things to keep people from accidentally conceiving. And I don't think people should conceive who aren't married because raising a child and the cost of a child is very, very, very expensive. So fast forward, boom, where are we? We we have to ask ourselves, who makes that decision? You make that decision. I make that decision. I think that the decision to have an abortion is between the mother and the father, their chosen religious person, whether it's a pastor, priest, or rabbi, or imam. And lastly, but firstly, I would put God. You have to sit down and ask, the Lord, Lord, what should I do? What do you think? That's what I would do. And then I'd ask the mother, what are we going to do? Okay, we have this child on the way. I mean, do we want to get married? Do we love each other? Do we promise to love, protect, and honor our relationship, or is this just a booty call kind of thing? Because if it is the booty call kind of thing, it's not going to last. And I know a lot of fathers who married their girlfriends or their friend or their sex partner because of an accident, and they felt it was the right thing to do. Especially when I was coming along, that was the right thing to do, or the daddy would shoot you. Okay, so you, you didn't really have an option. Okay. Oh man. But people have options today, and they exercise those options, and that's good. But I tell you, we need to be cognizant. We need to be prepared. We need to be aware. And we need to always, and I do mean always, stay vigilant. Stay vigilant about how we interact with each other, about how we react to our significant others. Abortion. Abortion is a very serious thing. Some people try to use it as contraceptive. Oh, the pill makes me sick, so I'll just go get an abortion. Man, that's rough. That's rough. I tell you, that's real rough. How do you do that? I don't know. But Alabama is trying to get some national closure on this issue. And Alabama is trying to generate uh, some heat, so to speak, on this issue. And they're getting exactly what they want. This case is going all the way to Supreme Court. And I hope when it gets there, it gets a just hearing. And I hope that we don't get back to back alley abortions. I remember when abortions were done, some very unsanitary environments, not in a doctor's office with the wire hanger and things like that. Man, I tell you, those are bad times. Bad times. Last but not least, our last story is Kelsey Grammer. And I just got to bring up Kelsey Grammer because I love Kelsey Grammer. I like when he was when he was in Cheers. I thought he was good, and I think he's good now. But he loves Trump, and he openly supports Trump, and he gets in trouble for that in Hollywood because you have all those liberals out there, and they, of course, they hate Donald Trump, and I've been in situations where people try to crack on Donald Trump, and I go, well, I love Donald Trump. People are like, well, well, that racist we have in the White House, and I go, well, tell me uh, why he's racist. Can you tell me that? And they go, no, but I know he is. And I go, well, Barack Obama was a racist. If you really want to know the truth, but people don't want to know the truth. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But you know, Kelsey Grammer is sticking up for the president. And these liberals, they can't take it. Oh my God, Kelsey Grammer's, he's coming out for President Donald Trump, and what are we going to do? The world is coming to an end. Well, no, it's not. Kelsey Grammer is an American. He's one person, like Charles Butler. He's one person. Kelsey said he was in London. He's starring in a play called Man of La Mancha. I would love to see that. It's on the West End in London. I'd love to be there. I'd go by and check it out. In fact, I'm gonna text my buddy, tell him to go by and check it out. Kelsey says, "I'm not aware of taking a career hit for it, but now certainly passions run high, and certainly he has touched an extraordinary, passionate response." He said, "I did not know if it's as serious or horrible as everyone wants it to be." That's where I'm coming from. I don't think that it's that serious. Yeah, we have some people out there who are upset, but I tell you, as angry as people are about Donald Trump and as upset as they are about Donald Trump, I felt the same way about Barack Obama. Exact same way, if not worse. I couldn't stand the guy. Still can't stand the guy. Do I want to see any harm come to Mr. Obama? No. Any harm come to his girls or his wife? Absolutely not. But did I not like his policies? Oh man, it was a tough 8 years. That's all I can say. And it's going to be a tough 8 years for Democrats getting back to doing what they're supposed to do. And we might want to say, which is, oh, wow. Kelsey goes on to say, I was wondering whether you thought the sort of people believe this in this sort of fabric is being disrupted, being meaning the fabric of the country. And Kelsey said, well, I think fabric being disruptive is a good thing. I don't think Washington didn't do us any favors for the last 50, 60 years. I think been they've all been sort of the same party, the same bunch of clowns, the same bunch of really unpleasant people. He's absolutely right. Frazier was it wasn't Cheers, it was Frazier. He was good as Frazier. I like that. But hey, you know, Kelsey Grammer in the UK speaking out, getting picked up here by Fox. Um, Christiana Amanpour, she was doing the interview, I guess. She asked the actor how he felt about Brexit. And you know where I am on Brexit. I've been like, hey, get out of Brexit. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for Brits being ruled from Belgium, from Brussels. Why would you want to be ruled from Brussels? What do they know about the Brits or the French or the Italian? But they want to, again, liberals. They want to control everything. They want you to be under their control. Oh man! But Kelsey ended his interview and he said the American people will be just fine too. We've been through a lot worse. Yeah, like Barack, insane, Obama, and all his uh, Muslim takia routine. And that's all I can say. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's enough. That's enough. Hey, as we get ready to wind up things here, we've covered Weinstein and some of his, his defense lawyer and how he got burned. Um, but Derkowitz is very clear. He said, "Hey, these people are taking over control. They're killing the American
Everybody
spirit."
has the right to a defense. When I was in college, professors and lawyers got fired for representing communists. Back in the bad old days, you could get fired for representing somebody who was gay or a woman who was seeking an abortion, or you can imagine other situations like that. And now, of course, you get fired, and he was fired from his job as dean for representing a controversial and unpopular somebody who has been charged with a rape. The students claim that they feel unsafe. It's a nonsensical argument. Feeling unsafe with a professor. The same professor represented a double murderer a couple of years ago. The same students didn't feel unsafe. This is political correctness run amok. These are students who don't care about due process, don't care about free speech. The only thing they care about is getting their way. They don't like the fact that he's representing somebody who they don't like. They claim he's been away too often. If he was away prosecuting Harvey Weinstein, they'd be building a statue to him and praising
That's a good
him.
point.
But they just use all these excuses, and this was an opportunity.
Wow. I told you. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is out here. That was Derkowitz talking about the dean. Yeah, I just circled back to that. But, there are a lot of things going on out here. The stock market's back up. I said it would be back. It's coming back. Of course, it's coming back. That's what it does. The stock market is dynamic and it's cyclical. It goes up and down, up and down. Um, and that's why when you play the stock market, you should play with money that you can afford to lose. I was I was taken aback by a story I read about this young 5-year old uh, toddler. Well, his 5-year old that thought his father's or grandfather's gun was a toy and shot his mother at a baseball game. Pointed at his mother and shot. Bam. See, we couldn't point guns at people. Our toy guns, we could not point them at people. That was a no-no. That would get you a spanking before anything else, pointing guns at people. And it was good that my parents taught us that and believed in that because it kept us out of trouble and it taught us the right way to do things and to proceed in uh, training ourselves not to point guns, not to antagonize people, period, whether they were police officers or just regular people walking down the street. So, speaking of people walking down the street, we're going to take a little walk down the street and ease out of here because it's almost over. The reality check with Charles Butler. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be talking about issues of the day. Next level,